Hey everybody, welcome to Worship Leader Stuff. I wanted to talk about something that I've become increasingly more excited about as well as passionate about, which is the variety of options there are for you to actually run your tracks on a Sunday morning. Now there's a lot of options out there. I would say the most popular is what's called Ableton Live. This is Ableton Live Standard. This is what it looks like when you were to first open it up. We're going to walk through things like building a set list, functionality, price, queues, routing, a variety of things that you can do with Ableton Live versus what I want to compare it to, which is a simpler and easier platform built specifically for worship leaders. Ableton Live was originally built for DJs called, oops, sorry, wrong direction, Prime. And this is kind of what Prime looks like when you first open it up. Now this is made by a company called Loop Community. I would say the two major companies out right now that are making these tracks in the first place are multitracks.com and Loop Community. Now, multitracks.com also has its own app called Playback, which is very similar and does a lot of the same things. I like Prime better, and maybe that's for another video. First and foremost, Prime can do a lot more for free. So we're going to work with Prime today, and I'm going to show you why I think Prime might be the better option for you and for your church, even though the majority of churches are using Ableton, especially as Prime continues to get better and better. So I'm going to walk you through each of them, and I'm going to show you building a set list, the price, fading, functionality, cues, MIDIs, various things. I'll try to do this very quickly, so I don't want to spend too much time on it. So first thing, let's just talk price. So Ableton Live, I believe, is $300 for standard and maybe $200 for the regular. Should have looked this up earlier, I apologize. The point is, it's at least $100 for you to be able to use Ableton Live. It's quite expensive. Here we go. $100 for intro, $450 actually now for standard, and suite for $749. Now we have standard. You could probably get most of the things done you need with intro. But again, comparatively, Prime is free. So this is one reason why I think Prime has become more useful for us in the future. Now we've already bought Ableton. The nice thing is once you buy it, you buy it. So I use it for different things, but I think for an everyday full band set list, I'm enjoying using Prime more. I think it's much easier to set up. Primarily, that is the issue I want to talk about, is how you actually spend your best amount of time and the ability to be flexible. Our worship service is very flexible. We have a variety of things we have to keep an eye out for and might not always be able to just hit press and play and go through the set list. We also have a pretty comprehensive rehearsal, which means I want to be able to jump around and do various things. Now, everything I'm going to show you that you can do in Prime, you can do in Ableton Live. It's incredibly powerful, but it takes a lot more time and becomes a lot more difficult. And we want to spend our time focusing on the set list, leading worship, leading our team, do whatever roles God has for us the rest of the week. So, that being said, let me walk you through a little bit of Ableton's setup, which is going to take us longer, so that you can see how much easier it is, for example, to do Prime. So we're just going to make a 2-song set list and delete some of these extra tracks here. Actually, I wanted to keep it on the audio track. So this is session view, and this is arrangement view. Arrangement view is laid out more like a timeline, and this is session view. For the sake of ease, I'm going to use session view. Now, a lot of what you might need to be able to do when you're customizing things, such as adding sections to your songs, custom cues, custom loops or sections that you can jump around to, you'll have to do an arrangement view, which is one of the issues, is that you can't go back and forth very easily. You have to kind of pick one. And to be more customizable, you have to use arrangement view. However, to be more free and flexible, you have to use session view. And what you'll see is with Prime is that you will be able to essentially use both. And that's one of the great things. But let's build a set list. So let's say our set list is going to be, this is Amazing Grace, 100 BPM, 4/4. And then let's do King of Kings. Also 4/4. Just gonna now a bit so you can see it. I'm gonna delete some of these extra tracks. Okay, so you have to input your song titles, and then you'll give Ableton the BPM and the time signature here. Then what you're going to have to do is you're going to have to buy the tracks, download them, and then go into your songs. And let's start with This Is Amazing Grace. Now, if you want to divvy everything up, you can do a little bit more of the thing. But we're going to drag and drop here, hold Command. That will let it drop in vertically. And then let's do, these are just our tracks. We're just bringing this in. Let's do King of Kings. This one has a ton of tracks, but let's just go with those ones for the sake of the video. Okay, now, if all you wanted to do was press play on your tracks, then that might be all you have to do. Now, you're probably going to have to edit what you want in there, what you don't want in there, so I don't really want my bass acoustic, because I have those. You might want to line some of these things up, but that's really all you're going to have to do. And then you'd have to route, so you're going to turn these in and out, switch on, and you're going to route certain things like the click track to an external out. Maybe you choose 1, that would be your cue, and then your master will go to 2, and everything else will be going to 2. But there are a lot more things you might want to do when it comes to leading worship other than just press play, including fades and all these things. Now, you can do much more of this on Session View. There's a lot of great videos out there of how to do that. That's not the main point of this video. What I want to show you is that how much of the automation of your flexibility Prime will do for you. So building a set list doesn't take too difficult unless you want flexibility, in which case it can take a lot of time, even hours for some people, on building a set list in Ableton Live. It's a little more difficult to run cues and to jump around spontaneously. That takes a lot more time, a lot more MIDI mapping. However, MIDI mapping and key mapping is pretty easy. You can do almost anything you want, and anything that highlights purple, you can assign a key here or a MIDI control here. And there is some limited ability that you can do in different things. For example, it's a lot more difficult to fade in this view. However, I do have another video out on how you can actually fade in Session View. Kind of a trick that I found out that I've been using. It works really well. Feel free to go check that out. And routing can be a little difficult depending on what you have going on. You have to kind of set up your preferences of where you want your audio route to come from, variety of things like that. Again, there's so many videos out there on how Ableton works. I don't want to go into it too detailed. But as far as just dropping in our tracks go, this is where we're at. We can play. 1,
2, 1, 2, 3, 4.
You can unmute things or mute things, and that's pretty much all you're able to do at that moment. And you might want to group some tracks together. You can do couple little things that don't take too long. But let's look at Prime. I want to see all the wonderful things you can do right away. So let's just look at one song here, for example. And I actually haven't added, I didn't buy King of Kings from them, so I haven't added session markers in. So let's do Price Be Magnified, just so you get the idea. Okay, I've got 2 songs and I've uploaded them in. And now, all of the things that I could do right away, I can change the BPM, I can change the key, I can have sections set up to repeat, I can fade the entire tracks out or fade them back in. With a click of a button, I can change my transitions between the songs. I have all my sections customly marked out. I can edit the markers. I also can edit the arrangement. And as simple as this, I can drag sections around. I can delete sections. Maybe I want to add a shorter instrumental, so I'll add this in here instead of that longer one. And boom, done. It's that simple. That takes a lot more effort and a little bit more know-how to do in Ableton. I can toggle on and off the tracks. I can lower their volume. I can assign MIDI controls to everything. I can also assign outputs, which I don't have my audio interface plugged in right now. And it automatically recognizes. All I have to do is switch from built-in to an aggregate device or to Loop Community's track rig or whatever audio interface you're using to send your tracks to front of house. And all of that is incredibly MIDI mappable. You can also change your click subdivisions at any times. You can generate them dynamically or not. Take off the click accent. You can change the font size. You can change the click sound, who's reading you, your sections, when the jump to a different section might happen. So for example, for in This Is Amazing Grace, you know what, I don't
Intro,
like the click
2,
accent,
3,
and I'm going to double
4.
it. No, that's too fast. Let's go this. Great. And let's do Phil Wickham. This is his song after all. Now check this out. This takes a lot of work. I messed with this for a long time to be able to do this in Ableton. I want to jump to the chorus right away. So I'm going to hit chorus.
Chorus, 2, 3, 4.
And it changed the cue so that the entire band could hear it and see what was going on. All I would have to do is MIDI map that to a foot controller or have my band or drummer press that button, whatever they want to do. And let's say that we go to the bridge. We're going to be in the down bridge, but let's say that I really want to speak over that bridge before we start singing it, or I want to keep it down. On the fly, I can hit the repeat button.
Down bridge, 2, 3, 4.
And it's going to cue it, keep it going back. Now if I hit it twice, sorry, it will just keep looping
Down
as long
bridge,
as I
2,
wanted.
3, 4.
I could honestly just keep the click going. I could fade out the tracks. Really just feeling a spirit-led moment.
Down bridge, 2, 3, 4.
And you know what? I'm going to fade things back in. I'm going to take that off, and I'm going to let the song continue. And I'm actually just going to go right into the big bridge.
Bridge, 2, 3, 4.
Okay, and then I got these two songs. They're in the same key. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to let them fade. This crossfades, not crossfades, overlaps them together.
End, 2, 3, 4.
You can hear that change the click.
Intro, 2, 3,
And it
4.
started the other song. Again, I don't want this. Boom, done. So easy, guys. This is one of the easiest apps to use. And everything is set up for you. They've got all of this markers built in when you buy it from them. And even this one, you can see I bought it from multitracks.com, and I added my own markers in, which is a little extra work if you buy it from there, or if they didn't Loop Community didn't have it, which does happen sometimes. But you have to do that in Ableton anyway to have any degree of flexibility as you go throughout the song. And so a lot of these features, all of these features you can do in Ableton, but it takes a lot more time. And specifically having these section markers and being able to jump around and edit everything so quickly and so easily, as well as having the ability to repeat on command, to fade out on command, to cut things on and off. It's very, very simple. And I'm going to make another video soon about how I actually use Prime in a daily or a weekly situation, how I MIDI map things so that it's really clear and easy for you guys to see how you can use this and be completely flexible. I've had no issues with being flexible, starting and stopping songs in the middle, coming back to sections, jumping around in rehearsal, jumping around live, repeating sections live. What happens if we get off the tracks and we want to keep going and I want to keep the click? All of these things we'll make in another video. So, hope this was helpful.